Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Reshma Tiwari with the Midday News. The headlines. At least 18 people killed in a plane crash at Kozhikode Airport in Kerala last evening. Union Civil Aviation Minister arrives at the crash site to take stock of the situation. Digital flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder of the aircraft retrieved. Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra to be inaugurated by the Prime Minister in the capital this evening. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 68.32% in the country. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister inaugurates a dedicated 400-bed COVID hospital in Noida. And in cricket, India to host ICC Men's T20 World Cup next year. Women's T20 World Cup postponed till 2022. Detailed examination is on in the passenger flight crash that occurred last evening in Kozhikode Airport in Kerala that claimed 18 lives as per official data. Over 160 persons were left injured, many with serious injuries. Heavy rain and adverse weather has been considered as a contributory factor for the accident. The Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, Minister of State External Affairs Muralidharan had visited the site of the crash and took stock of the situation. Later, briefing media, Mr. Puri announced 10 lakh rupees interim relief for each of the deceased, 2 lakh rupees for the seriously injured and 50,000 for those who suffered minor injuries in Air India Express flight mishap in Kozhikode. The minister said reasons for Air India Express flight crash at Karipur Airport is being investigated.
The airport authorities in Kozhikode, all the other concerned agencies and the local people of the area acted in an exemplary manner. Now it is clear that timely action taken where the fire brigade etc. were able to cut through the body of the aircraft and extract people has helped in the rescue operation. Here I think preventive action taken has minimized the loss of lives. As I said last night when we were coming to grips with the situation, that even one life lost is one life too many. And therefore, our hearts go out, our deepest condolences to the members of the families.
Mr. Puri held consultations with senior civil aviation officials and professionals. In a tweet, Mr. Puri said digital flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder of the ill-fated aircraft have been retrieved. He said Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB, is conducting investigations.
We are working very closely with the state and central machinery to tide over this difficult situation and extend all possible support for the families of the deceased passengers and to provide all kinds of assistance to the injured passengers. I also appeal to others through your kind cooperation to send the message that everyone should show their solidarity in working together through this hour of need.
A special team including Governor Arif Mohammed Khan, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and other state ministers and officials are also in Kozhikode taking stock of the situation. Air India Express flight that was part of Vande Bharat mission carrying 191 passengers including crew from Dubai skidded off the tabletop runway while landing at Karipur Airport. Kozhikode in Kerala late evening at 7:41 p.m. yesterday. The plane, after skidding from the runway crash, landed nearly 35 feet below and split into two pieces. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra, an interactive experience centre on the Swachh Bharat mission today. The Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra is a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi and it was first announced by the Prime Minister on 10th April 2017 on the occasion of the centenary celebration of Gandhiji's Champaran Satyagraha. Our correspondent reports that visitors will experience a unique 360-degree audio-visual immersive show that will narrate India's Swachhata story, a journey into the largest behavior change campaign in the history of the world.
The Swachh Bharat mission has transformed rural sanitation in the country and has changed the behavior of over 55 crore people from open defecation to using a toilet. The installations at Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra will introduce future generations to the successful journey of world's largest behavioral change campaign, the Swachh Bharat mission. A balanced mix of digital and outdoor installations in the Kendra will impart information, awareness and education on Swachhata and related aspects. Prime Minister will also interact with 36 school students from Delhi, representing the 36 states and union territories adhering to social distancing protocols. With Dipendra Kumar, Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
The Health and Family Welfare Ministry today said over 14,27,000 people have recovered from coronavirus infection in the country so far. The recovery rate has gone up to 68.32%. The ministry said a total of 61,537 new cases of COVID-19 were reported in the country in the past 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 20,88,612. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country is 6,19,088. In a single day, 933 deaths were reported, taking the nationwide toll to 42,518. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, as many as 5,98,778 samples were tested yesterday, taking the total to 2,33,87,171 so far. The Health Ministry has asked states and union territories to take up coronavirus testing of grocery shop workers, vegetable and other vendors. It stated that if undetected, grocery workers can potentially spread the infection to a large number of people. In a letter to states and union territories, Secretary Ministry of Health Rajesh Bhushan also stressed the need for operationalizing ambulance transport system with oxygen facility and quick response mechanism. He underlined that refusal rate of ambulances must be monitored at a daily basis and brought down to zero. With the pandemic now spreading to newer areas in the country, Mr. Bhushan said that there are likely to be scattered cases, cluster of cases or large outbreaks in districts. He said the primary aim is to control outbreaks, especially in new locations, and to save lives at all cost. He said the aim should be to further reduce mortality and ensure that it does not cross the 1% mark. The Secretary pointed out that early detection of cases through aggressive testing, prompt isolation or admission in a healthcare facility and ensuring proper clinical management are major components of mortality reduction. He stressed on enhanced surveillance for influenza-like illness and severe acute respiratory illness, as their symptoms are mostly the same as COVID. He also asked the states and UTs to undertake weekly death audits to assess the determinants of death, such as age differentials, comorbidities, late reporting to hospital and clinical protocols that were followed. This will help identify challenges to be addressed and will facilitate effective case reporting and ensure timely and required medical interventions. In the letter, Mr. Bhushan also said that a regular house-to-house search must be done periodically to identify those who are at high risk.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath today inaugurated 400-bed dedicated COVID-19 hospital with state-of-the-art facilities in Sector 39 of Gautam Buddh Nagar, Noida. He also reviewed the COVID situation in the district and gave instructions to the officials. More from a correspondent.
The hospital with modern facilities is developed with the help of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Tata Trust. The Hospital of Noida, which has a capacity of 400 beds, is the largest state-run COVID facility in the state, spread across 8 floors and equipped with its own diagnostic laboratory and blood bank. It will provide premier facilities in the city like Noida for COVID patients' care. Meanwhile, the state yesterday witnessed 63 people succumbing to COVID-19, pushing the death toll to 1,981. A total of 4,467 fresh cases were reported in the state during the last 24 hours, taking the tally of active COVID patients to 44,563. Highest 707 cases surfaced in state capital Lucknow, followed by 393 cases in Kanpur. These two cities continues to have the highest number of active cases in the state, with 5,284 and 4,584 cases in Lucknow and Kanpur respectively. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has directed the division commissioners, municipal commissioners and district collectors to bring down the mortality rate due to COVID-19 in the state. He said the mortality rate should be brought down under any circumstances. In a stern message, he also said that there should be no negligence to trace the contacts and to focus more on the containment zones. Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Love Agarwal, who also attended the video conferencing, asked the concerned officials to undertake effective measures in districts where there is high prevalence of COVID-19 cases. More details from our Mumbai correspondent.
The official death toll in the landslide had reached 22. Rescue and search operations are on war footing as nearly 43 people are still reportedly missing. 12 people were rescued from the site who are presently admitted in nearby hospitals. Adverse weather is hampering the ongoing relief operations. Meanwhile, heavy rain is continuing across the state, mainly central and northern Kerala. High alert is continuing as major rivers are overflowing and shutters of dams are being raised. Low-lying regions are in flood-like situation and the coastal regions are facing rampant sea erosion. Meanwhile, fishermen with boats have left from Kollam for rescue operations in Pathanamthitta as water level in Pamba River is rising. Red alert is issued in Idukki, Thrissur, Palakkad and Wayanad districts and orange alert in 8 other districts today. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In Rajasthan, the number of corona-infected persons has crossed 50,000. Out of these, more than 36,000 people have recovered. 776 people have died due to corona infection in the state so far. More from our correspondent. Out of 1,64,924 COVID cases reported till date in Karnataka, 76,686 are active and 84,232 persons are discharged after recovery. The recovery rate in the state is 51.1% and mortality rate 1.8%. Out of 2,998 deaths reported till date, 1,428 were those who were 60 years old and above of age. The doubling rate of the state is 16 days. Bengaluru urban has highest case load amongst the districts. As on yesterday, it had 69,572 positive cases, out of which 33,308 are active, 35,063 are discharged, and COVID deaths are 1,200 persons. The districts coming next in terms of high caseloads are Bellary, Mysuru, Belagavi, and Dakshin Kannada.
Arunachal Pradesh on Friday recorded 101 fresh COVID cases, taking the total tally to over 2,000 mark. Meanwhile, 81 recovered patients were released. Arunachal Pradesh has recorded 2,049 COVID positive cases so far, of which 720 are active, 1,326 have recovered, and 3 are dead. The recovery rate in the state is 64.71%. In Mizoram, 27 fresh coronavirus positive cases were reported, while one patient was discharged after recovery during the last 24 hours. According to the official statement, total number of COVID-19 cases in the state has reached 566 and total 289 patients have been discharged after recovery. Presently, 277 patients are undergoing treatment. Meanwhile, the state government has announced a temporary ban on entry of trucks and other vehicles carrying goods into the state following 18 truck drivers and handymen tested positive yesterday. Officials said that the ban has been imposed on entry of vehicles carrying goods except essential commodities at the 2 entry points at Vai Rengte on the Mizoram-Assam border and at Khanmun on the Mizoram-Tripura border. The decision was taken yesterday in the cabinet meeting chaired by Chief Minister Zoramthanga to contain further spread of the novel coronavirus in the state. Also, with the truck drivers and handymen being tested positive, a large area between Mankautlir and Sethaun along the National Highway 306 in Kolasip district has been declared a containment zone.
In West Bengal, complete lockdown has begun this morning throughout the state to contain the spread of corona infection. This is the second lockdown of this month to break the chain of the spread of the virus. The state government has announced 7 days complete lockdown in the current month, and remaining days are 20th, 21st, 27th, 28th and 31st August. Our Kolkata correspondent reports that most of the shops and establishments are closed. Vehicular traffic is off the roads. Barring essential services, private and government offices including banks and post offices are also closed. Flight operations from Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose International Airport in Kolkata and Bagdora Airport in North Bengal are also suspended. Police pickets have been kept at different areas to monitor the situation. The Kolkata police has arrested around 300 people for violating the norms of lockdown and not wearing face masks and spitting in public places so far, besides seizing number of vehicles. In our series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of the leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Director AIMS, Delhi, Dr. Randeep Guleria advised the people to aggressively follow the social distancing and hand hygiene norms to check the spread of COVID-19 infection.
regular hand washing should be done. So those who in an area where there is coronavirus infection should wash their hands regularly. You should avoid going to crowded places because if someone in the crowd is coughing and has the infection, he can spread to others in the crowded places. And if any member in your family has fever, cough, cold, he should stay at home and avoid going out so that he doesn't spread the infection to other people in the community.
Dr. Anant Mohan, head of pulmonary medicine AIIMS, advised people not to take medicine like hydroxychloroquine or anti-malarial without a prescription by a doctor.
Please do not take medicines such as azithromycin, other antibiotics, antivirals or hydroxychloroquine or other anti-malarials without a proper prescription by a doctor. Do not self-medicate.
Moving on to a special segment on Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, Government is promoting beekeeping as part of its aim to double farmers' income, and it has allocated 500 crore rupees towards beekeeping under the Atmanirbhar Abhiyan. Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has said India is among the world's top 5 honey producers, and compared to 2005-2006, honey production in the country has risen by 242% and exports shot by 265%. As evident by the rising honey exports, beekeeping will be an important factor in achieving the goal of doubling farmers' income by 2024. The National Bee Board has created 4 modules to impart training as part of the National Beekeeping and Honey Mission, and 30 lakh farmers have been trained in beekeeping. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, a 40-year-old man was killed and 5 others got injured as Pakistani troops resorted to unprovoked heavy artillery shelling along the line of control in Karna, Chokibal and Nogam areas of Kupwara district yesterday. A senior army officer said that Pakistan Army resorted to ceasefire violations along the LOC by firing arms and mortars at 3 different sectors in Kupwara, resulting into injuries to 6 civilians in Karna and Chokibal areas. However, Army gave a befitting reply to the Pakistani aggression.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. At least 18 people killed in a plane crash at Kozhikode Airport in Kerala last evening. Union Civil Aviation Minister arrives at the crash site to take stock of the situation. Digital flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder of the aircraft retrieved. Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra to be inaugurated by the Prime Minister in the capital this evening. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 68.32% in the country. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister inaugurates a dedicated 400-bed COVID hospital in Noida, and in cricket, India to host ICC Men's T20 World Cup next year. Women's T20 World Cup postponed till 2022. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
In Karnataka, incessant rain and rising river water has impacted 11 districts. The government has asked state administration to release 10,000 rupees interim relief to those whose houses are damaged due to rain and flooding. After assessment, the government has announced 5 lakh rupees compensation to those houses with major damage, 3 lakh rupees for minor damages and 50,000 rupees for small repairs. More from a correspondent.
Kali, Bhadra, Sharavati, Hemavati, Kumaradhara, Netravati, Malaprabha rivers in and around Western Ghats are at spate. In Belagavi, 23 bridges have submerged underwater due to flooding. Malaprabha river water has flooded agricultural land near Hirehatte Hole. High alert is sounded in Hassan, Shivamogga, Kodagu and Dakshin Kannada. Due to increase in inflow, 1 lakh cusecs water was released from Almaty Dam. In Ballari, Tungabhadra Dam inflow increased to 1 lakh cusecs. Yesterday in a single day, 8 TMC water accumulated in the dam. It can store 103 TMC water and the current storage is 54.521 cusecs. 8,629 cusecs water was released to irrigation canals. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
In Bihar, there is no let-up in the flood situation in different parts of the state. Over 72 lakh people spread over 16 districts are reeling under the impact of floods. Flood situation is still grim in districts of Darbhanga, Muzaffarpur, East Champaran and Saran. Rail traffic on Darbhanga-Samastipur section of East Central Railway could not yet be restored following overtopping of rail tracks. Vehicular traffic has also been disrupted in many places in flood-affected areas due to damage of national and state highways. 41 people died in flood-related incidents during the last 24 hours. Standing crops spread over 7.5 lakh hectares have been damaged due to floods. 33 teams of NDRF and SDRF are carrying out relief and rescue operations in flood-affected areas. Over 5 lakh people have been evacuated so far. 12,000 people have taken shelter in relief camps. 1,420 community kitchens have been set up for providing food to over 10 lakh people.
President Ramnath Kovind today administered the oath of office to G.C. Murmu as Comptroller and Auditor General of India at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Mr. Murmu had stepped down as the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir earlier this week. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi were also present on the occasion. The Narendra Modi government has laid emphasis in the skilling of youth and employment generation. The schemes like Startup India, Skill India, Digital India, Make in India and Khelo India were brought in the past 5 years by the government with a view to empower the youth, as empowered youth leads to empowered nation. More from our correspondent.
In the last 5 years, NDA government has given massive push to education and skill development to empower youth of the country. Under the Skill India mission, government is providing employment as well as opportunity of self-employment to the youth of the country. Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana has enabled a large number of youth to take up industry-relevant skill training and help them in securing a better livelihood. To build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country, Startup India initiative was launched in 2015 for sustainable economic growth and generating large-scale employment opportunities for youth. With a view to promote sporting culture in the country and identifying the youth talent, government is organizing Khelo India Youth Games. With Dipendra, Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
Today is the 78th anniversary of the Quit India movement. On this day in 1942, father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi gave the clarion call of do or die to all the Indians to drive away Britishers from the country. The movement had begun from Gawalia Tank in Mumbai. The day is observed as August Kranti Day every year. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar paid tributes to freedom fighters on Quit India Movement Day. In his message, Mr. Javadekar remembered the sacrifices made by freedom fighters to free India from the clutches of the British rule. In Sri Lanka, Mahinda Rajapaksa will take oath as the new Prime Minister tomorrow after landslide victory of his party at the general elections held on Wednesday. His party and allies have secured 2/3 majority in Parliament. The oath-taking ceremony will be held at an ancient Buddhist temple near Colombo, and he will be administered oath by his younger brother Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Other cabinet members will be sworn in next week at a ceremony in Kandy. Mahinda Rajapaksa has served as the country's president from 2006 to 2015. He was appointed Prime Minister after Gotabaya's victory at last November's presidential elections, though his side did not enjoy majority in Parliament. He contested the election from Kurenagala and topped the preferential votes from the district by clinching a record 5,27,364 votes.
Gujarat police have launched a 15-day special drive to find out missing children in the state. This was announced by the state's Director General of Police, Ashish Bhatia, yesterday. According to an official press release, all police stations, Anti-Human Trafficking Unit, AHTU, Missing Persons Cell and various branches of police like CCB, DCB, PCB and SOG are being involved in this drive. Police officials have been asked to visit observation homes and child care homes during this drive to find out missing and kidnapped children. As per the police records, about 46,400 children were missing in the state during the period from 2007 to 2020, out of which 43,783 children were found out eventually. International Cricket Council has said that the Indian team will host the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2020 as planned. ICC confirmed that Men's T20 World Cup 2020 that was postponed due to the pandemic will be held in Australia in 2022. Cricket's governing body has also decided to postpone the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup 2021 in New Zealand till February-March 2022 due to the impact the pandemic has had on cricket globally. The format of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2021 will remain as it was for 2020, and all teams that qualified for that event will now participate in India in 2021. A new qualification process will be run for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2022. The format of the postponed ICC Women's Cricket World Cup will remain as it was for 2021. 5 teams have already qualified for the event and that will stand for 2022. The original global qualification event to determine the final 3 teams to contest the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup was scheduled to be held in Sri Lanka in July 2020, but this was postponed due to COVID-19. The qualification event will now be held in 2021. After ICC's decision to postpone the T20 World Cup, BCCI decided to use the vacant window to announce the dates for the Indian Premier League. The IPL will be held in the UAE from September 19 to November 10th. India will be touring Australia after the completion of the IPL.
Indian men's hockey team captain Manpreet Singh, defenders Surinder Kumar, Jaskaran Singh and drag flicker Varun Kumar have tested positive for COVID-19. All players camping in Sai Bengaluru camps are in self-quarantine as the test results are waited. The players have returned to the National Hockey Camp in Bengaluru following a month-long break. The hockey camp has been held in the National Centre of Excellence in Sai Bengaluru. 10 athletes who had travelled along with the other members have also undergone RT-PCR test. The quarantine athletes have not interacted with other athletes in the camp, thereby ensuring that the infection does not spread in the campus. The News Services Division of All India Radio in its bilingual live phone-in program today will bring a special discussion program on COVID-19. Dr. Anupam Prakash, Professor of Medicine at the Lady Hardinge Medical College, will participate in the discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the experts on toll-free telephone number 1800115767. You can also ask questions on telephone number 011-2331-4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This can be heard tonight on the FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. This program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can listen to it on a mobile app News on AIR.
Now let us take a look at today's weather update. The national capital Delhi may witness generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature was recorded at 29 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 36 degrees. Mumbai will experience generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature will be around 31 degrees. Chennai will have a generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 28 and 36 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the metropolis was 26 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 29 degrees. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature in Jammu was 27 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 33 degrees Celsius. The city will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was 22 degrees, while the maximum will be around 32 degrees Celsius. The city will have generally cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Ladakh will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 18 and 32 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 19 and 37 degrees Celsius. It will experience partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Muzaffarabad, there will be thunderstorm with rain. The minimum temperature was 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum temperature will be around 36 degrees. Chandigarh will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the city will be 30 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. At least 18 people killed in a plane crash at Kozhikode Airport in Kerala last evening. Union Civil Aviation Minister arrives at the crash site to take stock of the situation. Digital flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder of the aircraft retrieved. Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra to be inaugurated by the Prime Minister in the capital this evening. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 68.32% in the country. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister inaugurates a dedicated 400-bed COVID hospital in Noida. And in cricket, India to host ICC Men's T20 World Cup next year. Women's T20 World Cup postponed till 2022. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that we end the Midday News.